The moment you stop chasing is the moment they start running toward the version of you they thought they'd never lose. Watch what happens, my friends, when they finally realize you're not coming back, not texting, not checking, not wondering, just gone. No drama, no announcements, just a quiet exit so powerful it echoes louder than any apology they never gave you. And in that silence, something terrifying begins to happen, but not to you, to them. Hey folks, imagine this. You're standing on stage in a packed auditorium, and for weeks you've been performing, pouring your soul out, trying to get them to see your worth, clapping even when they gave you silence. But one day, you just walk off, mid-performance, no mic drop, no explanation, just exit left. The spotlight fades, and guess what? Nobody noticed right away, until they looked around and realized the best part of the show was you, and now the stage feels empty, dead, quiet. That's what happens when you finally stop performing in their circus. Your absence becomes the main event. You see, people don't panic when you leave. They panic when they realize you're not coming back. They thought you'd orbit them forever. Be their backup plan, their emotional sponge, the reliable shoulder waiting in the shadows. That's the lie they lived in. But here's the truth. You were never the extra. You were the entire script. They just didn't read it right. My friends, some of you have been stuck in cycles where you keep showing up for people who left you unread, unseen, unvalued. You gave closure to people who gave you confusion. You gave your loyalty to people who didn't even offer you clarity. That's not love, that's self-abandonment. But today, we break that pattern. The day you stop checking if they watched your story is the day your story really begins. The moment you stop trying to be understood is the moment you understand yourself. And let me tell you something beautiful. When you walk away without bitterness, without begging, without proving anything, that's when the universe starts pulling the right people toward you. Because silence, my friends, isn't weakness, it's wisdom. They expected you to send that one last message, to cave, to fold, but you didn't. And that quiet decision, that's not noise, that's power. You've got to understand something. Detachment is not giving up, it's growing up. It's realizing that chasing someone who treats you like an option is the same as handing your crown to someone who never saw you as a king. You were never supposed to stay where you were tolerated. You were meant to walk where your presence is celebrated. And the best part, the moment they realize you're not coming back, is the same moment they realize they lost something they can't replace. So to every person watching this right now, don't beg to be understood. Don't chase to be seen. Don't explain yourself to people who benefit from misunderstanding you. Instead, rise, evolve, disappear from their world, and build a world they'll never be able to enter again. Type it below to lock it into your identity. I don't chase, I evolve. Comment it, own it, speak it into your future. And if this hit your soul, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and stay with me, because we're only getting started. Number 1, they thought you'd always come back until you didn't. Nothing scares the ego more than realizing the person it took for granted is no longer waiting at the door. There's a moment, a sharp, silent moment, when they realize you're not coming back, not just not yet, not just still healing, not giving them space. No, you're gone, not ghosted, but evolved. And that moment, it slices through their ego like a blade, clean and cold. At first, they brush it off. They're just mad. They'll come around. He always does. But day by day, the silence thickens, and it's not silence filled with pain, it's silence filled with peace. And that's what messes with them, because it wasn't supposed to be like this. You were the one who always folded first. You were the one who sent the late-night texts, who watched their stories, who waited for signs like a man on the shore hoping the tide would return. But now, you're not standing on the shore anymore. You built a ship and left the island. Imagine this, my friends. A spoiled child tosses their favorite toy into the corner, bored of it, convinced it'll always be there when they're ready to play again. But weeks pass. They go to grab it, and it's gone. Not stolen, not hidden, just not there. And suddenly, what they once ignored becomes the one thing they can't stop thinking about. That's you. You were always there, and now you're not. And the panic begins to set in. They'll start asking questions, but not out loud, not yet, in their head. Wait, why haven't they reached out? Are they angry, or worse, over me? Did they really let go that easily? No, you didn't let go easily. You bled in silence. You suffered behind closed doors. You begged the universe for answers they never gave you. But eventually, something shifted. You realized that begging someone to care is like screaming into a canyon. You hear your own echo, but never theirs. And that's the part they never expected. That you would choose peace over closure. That you would choose progress over proving your worth. That you would stop asking why and start saying goodbye. See, they thought you'd always be a soft landing, a safety net. But here's what they didn't realize. Even nets break when they're stretched too thin. They thought your silence was punishment, but it's not. It's protection. You're not trying to hurt them. You're just done hurting yourself. Let's break the lie they believed, that your love was unlimited, that they could withdraw emotional deposits forever without ever giving anything back. But love, my friends, is not an ATM. It's an exchange. And when the withdrawals outweighed the deposits, you closed the account with interest. This part of your journey is uncomfortable, I won't lie, because you're not just detaching from them. You're detaching from the version of you that needed them, that feared abandonment, that thought their presence validated your worth. And that part of you, he's not dying. He's transforming into a man who doesn't chase breadcrumbs, into a man who doesn't wait at locked doors, into a man who doesn't flinch when someone walks away. They thought you'd come crawling back, but now they're the ones crawling through their own regrets, trying to figure out when the power shifted. And here's the thing, it didn't shift overnight. It shifted the moment you stopped chasing illusions and started chasing purpose. This is your path now, silent, sovereign, still. And in that stillness, you become loud in their mind. Every empty notification, every unchecked story view, every day without you becomes a reminder that you were the one they should have held on to. And you didn't leave to prove a point. You left because you finally found your worth, and it wasn't up for debate anymore. So here's your affirmation. Type it below, write it in the comments. Say it for yourself and for the version of you who waited too long to hear it. I don't chase closure, I create peace. Say it, show it, and live it. Because what's coming next in this journey, it's not about them, it's about the you they'll never get access to again. Stay with me. The next shift is the one that really breaks their mind before their heart even catches up. Number 2, their mind breaks before their heart does. The heart doesn't break first, the mind does. Because what haunts them isn't love lost, it's control slipping through their fingers. At first they don't panic, not really. They tell themselves you're just going through a phase, that you're trying to get a reaction, that you're still somewhere on the other side of the silence, checking your phone, watching their stories, missing them quietly. They assume it's a matter of time, because that's how it always was. You always came back. But then, something starts to feel different. The hours turn into days, days turn into weeks, and still nothing, no reaction, no message, no sign of emotional weakness. And that's when the fear begins, not in the heart. No, not yet. The fear starts in the mind. You see, people like this, They rely on patterns. They thrive on predictability. They don't want to love you. They want to manage you, like a schedule, like an app. Push this button, get this result. Pull back, they'll lean in. Ghost them a little, they'll chase. It's manipulation in disguise. But they called it chemistry. And as long as you played the game, they felt powerful. But now, you've broken the code. You've stopped playing. And when someone loses control over a version of you they thought they had figured out, it doesn't hurt their heart. It scrambles their identity. Because your silence has become unpredictable, your distance has become unreadable, and in the absence of your reactions, their mind begins to run wild. Imagine this, my friends. You've always been a light in a dark room. Even when dimmed, you were there, a flicker, a glow. But now, you've turned the switch off. And when that room goes pitch black, they don't just miss the light, they start to fear the dark. Their mind becomes the haunted house they lock themselves in. Every memory creaks, every regret becomes a whisper, every ghost is a version of you they mistreated. They thought they could replace you, clone you, distract themselves with someone new. But here's what they didn't calculate. There's no substitute for a soul you once took for granted. They can line up dates, smile for the camera, dance with new faces. But at night, when the phone screen goes black and there's no more pretending, that's when you come back, not in the physical, but in their mental collapse. Because now their mind is trying to make sense of something they never prepared for. Your indifference. Your silence isn't passive, it's disruptive. It's not the absence of love. It's the presence of power. They go to check if you watched their story. You didn't. They go to see if you liked their post. You didn't. They want to see a reaction, a crack, anything that says, I still matter. But all they find is nothing. And that nothing, it drives them insane. This is where their internal storm brews, because the ego is fragile, and when it doesn't get fed, it starts cannibalizing itself. Thoughts like, was I really that special? Maybe he never cared. What if I lost someone irreplaceable? They start repeating like a broken record. And you've become the one thing they can't outmaneuver, not because you're playing a game, but because you've transcended it. This isn't revenge, it's realization. You're not trying to hurt them, you're just no longer willing to hurt yourself for them. That's the most powerful shift a man can make, when he moves from reaction to reflection, from validation seeking to self-respect, from do they still think about me to why would I care? Let's be clear, you didn't disappear to manipulate, you disappeared to regenerate. You stopped showing up to arguments you didn't start. You stopped bleeding just to prove you were alive. You stopped offering love to people who treated it like a backup plan, and in doing so, you became what they can't unsee, what they can't understand, what they can't replace. It's not the heart that hurts first. It's the loss of psychological control, the realization that they don't know you anymore, that you've become unreadable. And unreadable means dangerous to their ego. Because here's the truth, what we can't control, we start to obsess over. And now, without even trying, you've become the obsession. You're not the maybe anymore. You're the what if. You're the storm they can't track. The presence they once ignored and now can't get out of their head. So to every man watching this who's been tempted to break silence just to prove he still cares, don't. That urge, that's the old you, the one who needed to be understood. But the new you, he doesn't need to be seen to be powerful, he just is. Write this in the comments right now if you're ready to stand in your truth. I am unreadable, unshakable, unstoppable. That's not just a line, it's a boundary, it's a vow. To never again beg to be seen by people who refused to value you when you were available. To never again let someone else's confusion become your guilt. And stay with me, because next we're going even deeper, when silence stops being empty and becomes your deadliest strategy, that's when things really shift. Number 3, your silence isn't empty, it's strategy. A man's silence isn't a void. It's a weapon sharpened by self-respect and loaded with consequences. At first, they mistake your silence for confusion. They think you're just processing, that you're waiting for the perfect comeback, that you're frozen in uncertainty, unsure of how to respond, still stuck in the old emotional cycle that kept them in control. But here's the twist, my friends. You're not frozen. You're focused. And your silence. It's not a blank space. It's a battlefield. You're not sitting in silence because you don't know what to say. You're sitting in silence because you finally realized that nothing you say would be respected. You're not throwing words into a fire hoping they survive. You're stepping away from the flames. That's strategy. That's emotional warfare through stillness. Now let's get this straight. Silence isn't weakness. It's not passivity. It's precision. When a man goes silent, it's not because he's empty, it's because he's full of the lessons, full of the pain, full of the understanding that repeating himself one more time won't bring peace. It'll just reopen wounds that were never meant to be carried alone. Imagine this. You're a lighthouse. You used to flash signals every time their ship drifted. You warned them, guided them, begged them not to crash into you again. But they didn't listen. They kept sailing recklessly, assuming you'd always be there, blinking on, lighting their way. So you turned the light off. Not because you hate them, but because you're not here to rescue people who refuse to steer. And now, they're in the storm, with no signal, no direction, and the silence feels dangerous. That's what happens when you go silent with purpose. They're not just uncomfortable, they're disoriented. They don't know if you're healing or if you've moved on. They don't know if you're angry or indifferent. And that mystery, that's where the panic starts. Because people who thrive on control hate confusion. And your silence confuses them in all the right ways. They check your social media. Nothing. No sad quotes. No cryptic captions. No desperate retweets. Just stillness. Or worse, progress. A photo of you smiling, a gym video, a book on your desk, something that says, "I'm not waiting anymore." That's the dagger to their illusion. Because now the silence isn't echoing pain, it's echoing power. And let's be real, there was a time you filled the silence with explanations. You wrote paragraphs trying to justify why you loved the way you did. You apologized for your tone, your truth, your boundaries. You tried to fix what they broke just so peace would return. But you finally learned peace doesn't come from fixing things that were never meant to be whole. It comes from letting go of things that were breaking you slowly. That's what your silence is now. It's the sound of a man choosing himself. It's the echo of a boundary being enforced. It's the distance between the version of you they knew and the version of you they'll never get access to again. Here's a truth bomb. People don't fear being ignored. They fear being unimportant. And when you stop reacting, when you stop explaining, when you stop throwing your words into a pit that only feeds their ego, suddenly they realize they're no longer the center of your world. And that realization, it hits harder than any argument ever could. You're not playing games. You're done playing. You're not seeking attention. You're protecting your energy. And that's the shift, my friends. When your silence is no longer about sadness, it's about strategy, about choosing not to fight battles that drain you, about choosing not to explain your worth to someone who only saw you as convenient. Let me break another lie. If you care, you should say something. No, if you care about yourself, you should know when to say nothing, because silence is clarity. It filters out noise, it protects your peace, and most importantly, it tells the truth without ever raising its voice. You used to speak out of fear. Now you stay silent out of discipline. That's Stoicism. That's the warrior's path. Not the man who fights for attention, but the one who disappears and lets his growth speak for itself. And here's the beautiful paradox. When you stop trying to prove your value, that's when you become valuable. When you stop trying to be understood, that's when you become mysterious. And mystery, that's not only powerful, it's attractive. Not because it's manipulative, but because it's rare. So here's your affirmation for today. Write it in the comments, speak it into your life, etch it into your mindset. My silence is not empty, it's full of power. Say it with your chest, type it with your truth. Show the world that you don't have to shout to be strong. You don't have to post to prove. You don't have to chase to be chosen. You just have to be still, steady, and silent. Because what's coming next? That's when the silence starts to drive them mad. When you become a mystery they can't decode. Stay with me. The next shift is where the obsession begins. Number 4, you become the mystery they can't solve. The moment they can't read you anymore is the moment they start reading into everything. Let's make one thing clear. People don't fear losing you. They fear not understanding why you left. They fear what they don't see, what they don't know, what they can't control. And when your energy goes dark, not out of spite but out of sovereignty, you become the one thing that haunts them in silence, a mystery they can't decode. At first, they convince themselves you're just being dramatic, that you're pulling back to get attention, that this is just another act in the cycle. Ignore them now, chase them later. But something's different this time. They don't feel the pull, they don't feel the heat. You're not flinching, not peeking, not trying to make a statement. You're just gone, calm, unbothered, not pretending, disconnected. And here's what rattles them most. They can't feel your energy anymore. You used to be loud in silence, posting sad songs, cryptic captions, memes that low-key screamed, "I still care." You used to breadcrumb your own pain. But now, they go to your page and there's nothing, or worse, there's peace. You're not broken, you're building, you're not lost, you're laser-focused. No rage, no mess, just steady motion forward. Now imagine this, my friends. Picture them scrolling through your feed like an investigator, zooming into photos, checking timestamps, counting who liked what. They're searching for a sign that you're hurting, but there's no evidence. You've deleted the crime scene, scrubbed the trace, wiped every fingerprint of need. You're not just absent, you're erased, and nothing drives the ego crazier than being left out of the story. They thought they were unforgettable, irreplaceable. But your silence doesn't echo grief, it echoes growth. And now you've become that unsolvable question that replays in their mind when the lights go out. Why did he stop caring? Is he seeing someone else? Was I never enough? These aren't just questions, they're psychological landmines, and they step on them every day. Let's break another lie they believed, that silence meant weakness, that the one who walks away quietly is the one who's still wounded. But what they never saw coming was that your silence wasn't sadness, it was sacred. You weren't sitting in suffering, you were sitting in transformation. You weren't waiting for them to return, you were returning to yourself. They used to think they had access to every version of you, your thoughts, your reactions, your heart on display like an open window. They thought they knew how to pull you back whenever they needed you. But now that window is closed, boarded up, guarded, and they're stuck on the outside, peering in at a man they no longer recognize. That's the mystery. That's the power. And let's talk truth. When someone loses emotional access to you, they start fantasizing about what you're doing, who you're doing it with, how you suddenly became this new person without them. They don't see the pain it took to get here. They only see the glow, the stillness, the unshakable energy. And it doesn't sit right with them because they weren't supposed to be the one wondering. You've flipped the script. You used to be the one asking, do they miss me? Now they're asking, did I mess up the one person who actually cared? And that question, it's poison to a prideful mind. Because if you don't care anymore, if you're no longer affected, no longer chasing, no longer reaching, what does that say about them? Here's the answer. It says they lost something rare. It says they took a flame and treated it like a flashlight. And now that it's gone, the darkness they mocked is closing in around them. Because now you're not just out of reach, you're out of context. You're not the man they thought they left. You're not even the man they remember. You're the mystery they can't solve, the equation that doesn't balance, the ghost they can't exorcise. This is the essence of Stoic power. You didn't disappear to get attention. You disappeared to get direction. And now that you've found it, they're left circling your memory like a vulture searching for life in a place that has long since moved on. And the best part? You don't have to say a word. Your growth says everything. Your stillness speaks louder than all the noise they once used to drown you out. Your absence is the most profound sentence you've ever spoken. So here's your affirmation for this moment of truth. Type it below, claim it, make it real. I became the question they'll never answer. Let them wonder, let them scroll, let them piece together stories that no longer include them. Because the man you are now, he doesn't beg to be understood. He chooses to be misunderstood by those who never deserve to know his depths. And stay with me, because what comes next? That's when things get even colder. Not because you're cruel, but because you stopped burning for people who only watched you set yourself on fire. The next shift, that's when they start to burn. Number 5, when you go cold, they start to burn. Nothing stings like the warmth they took for granted, turning to ice they can't melt. Let's tell the truth, my friends. They never thought it would be you. They thought you were the one who'd always care just a little more. Try a little harder, hold on a little longer. They bet on your softness. They counted on your forgiveness. They assumed your heart had no boundaries, that no matter what they did, no matter how cold they went, you'd stay warm enough for both of you. But then you stopped, not because you hated them, not because you wanted revenge, but because one day something inside you just clicked. It wasn't loud, it wasn't dramatic, it was quiet, steady, and final. You stopped giving out warmth to people who only stepped into your fire to dry off, not to fuel it. That's when the burn began, but not in your chest, in theirs. See, people like this are addicted to your emotional fire, the kind of fire that stays lit, even after they walk away, the kind of fire that sends late-night texts, overthinks everything, forgives without reason, and waits for them to return. They took comfort in knowing that you were always lit up with hope, even after they doused you with silence. But now, the fire's gone out. You're cold, not cruel, cold. There's a difference. Cruelty is reactive, coldness is resolved. And the moment your energy went still, the moment your light no longer reached them, they didn't feel freedom, they felt frostbite. Imagine this. They walk back to the place they left you, expecting the door to still be open, the room still warm, the version of you still waiting like nothing happened. But they open that door and feel nothing. No heat, no spark, no welcome. Just a room they used to know, and now it feels like a stranger's house. That's the emotional chill you left behind. That's what they never saw coming. They expected your collapse. They were prepared for your breakdown. They imagined you'd spiral, lose sleep, text at 2 a.m., ask for closure, beg for understanding. But instead, you gave them something far more unsettling, silence paired with serenity. And now, they're the ones unraveling, because here's the hard truth. They didn't value your warmth until it went cold, that fire you gave so freely. It wasn't weakness, it was love, it was consistency, it was presence. But they mistook it for dependence. They thought you burned because you needed them. But what they never realized is, you were the flame, and now that you've withdrawn it, they're shivering in the shadow of their own choices. You see, cold doesn't chase, cold doesn't explain, cold doesn't crack. It just exists. And that stillness, that emotional absence, it forces them to sit with themselves, with no distraction, with no validation, with no warmth to shield them from their own empty reflection. They scroll through old conversations, hoping to feel something again. They post things hoping you'll react. They show up in places hoping to be seen. But the truth is, you're not watching anymore. You're not reacting. You're not reaching. You're not responding to the bait. And that's the part that starts to burn. They don't understand how you detached so calmly, how you moved on without a show. Because in their world, love is noise. It's chaos. It's attention. But now they're learning the hard way that real strength whispers. Real detachment doesn't announce itself. It just walks out and locks the door from the other side. And let me tell you something powerful, my friend. Your coldness isn't something to be ashamed of. It's earned. It's forged in disappointment. It's carved from moments when you showed up and they didn't. It's the result of loving someone so much that you lost parts of yourself in the process, and finally deciding to take them back. Let's break the lie they lived in, that the person who cares less holds the power. False. The person who walks away without resentment. That's power. The person who no longer needs to explain their worth. That's power. The person who can turn their emotions into silence without needing closure. That's unshakable power. They thought you'd always be on fire for them. But now, you've become the winter they never learned how to survive. So here's your truth today. Say it, type it, comment it below like it's a vow to yourself. My coldness is clarity. You didn't go numb, you woke up. You didn't lose love, you found self-respect. And now, you're no longer chasing heat from people who stood in your warmth without ever bringing kindling of their own. Stay with me, because in the next shift, we go deeper into the root of it all, why their ego can't survive your absence. The cold doesn't just freeze them, it starts to crack everything they once believed about themselves. And that's when the collapse truly begins. Number 7, their ego can't handle irrelevance. You didn't break their heart, you broke their spotlight, and now the silence is louder than any love ever was. Let's not sugarcoat it, my friends. This one hurts them in a way they never expected, not because they lost someone to love, but because they lost someone who saw them, someone who gave them significance, attention, relevance. And now that you're gone, fully, completely, quietly gone, their ego is starving, and it doesn't just ache, it starts to crack. See, here's the truth they never want to admit. Most people don't fear being alone, they fear being forgotten. And when you were there, always reaching out, always checking in, always showing up, they felt important. Even when they didn't give you the same effort back, even when they were cold, distant, confusing, you kept them relevant. Your energy fed their sense of control. Your pain was their proof that they still mattered. But now, there's no audience, no applause, no reactions. And for the first time, they're not the star of someone else's emotional universe. They're just another person you used to know. Imagine this. Someone walking into a room expecting to be greeted like royalty, but no one even looks up. That's the emotional gut punch they're feeling now, because they thought they'd still be the center of your orbit long after they drifted off. They expected you to be watching, waiting, hoping. They thought, even in your silence, your world was still spinning around them. But when they peeked in, there was no spotlight. Just a stage they're no longer invited to. And this isn't just confusion, it's identity collapse. Because being needed became part of how they saw themselves. They measured their value by how much you missed them. And when you stopped missing them, when you stopped reacting, when you stopped checking in, that wasn't peace to them, that was an earthquake. They told themselves you were obsessed, that you were dependent, that you'd never walk away. So now that you have, their ego is choking on its own arrogance. And what do egos do when they lose attention? They spiral, they perform, they reach. That's when you'll notice the random likes, the cryptic posts, the just checking in messages masked in casual concern. But don't be fooled. This isn't love returning. This is control trying to re-establish itself. This is the ego clawing its way back into a space it used to own, trying to see if the lock still fits the door. But it doesn't. Because you changed the locks, you changed the rules, you changed you. You're not bitter, you're not broken, you're not even angry, you're just disinterested. And that is their nightmare. Let's break the lie they clung to, that the one who cares less wins. No, my friend, the one who no longer needs the game, he wins. Every time. The one who no longer has anything to prove, nowhere to perform, no desire to validate someone else's ego, that's the real victor. You didn't walk away with a grudge, you walked away with growth. You didn't withdraw to punish, you withdrew to protect. And now they're feeling the weight of that protection in the most brutal way. They can no longer reach the version of you that once handed them significance on a silver platter. And don't get it twisted. They don't miss you for who you are now. They miss the version of you who made them feel powerful, the one who overgave, overtexted, overloved, the one who taught them through your pain that they mattered. But that version, he's not here anymore. You outgrew him, buried him, replaced him with someone who knows his worth without having to beg someone else to see it. Now, every time they open their phone, every time they look at your name and see silence, every time they feel the emptiness they used to fill with your attention, it hits. Not because they lost a soulmate, but because they lost a fan, a mirror, a source of emotional relevance. And you know what? That's okay. Let them feel it. Let them sit with it. Let their ego stew in the silence it once weaponized against you, because this is their lesson. You don't get to play with someone's heart, then cry when they no longer offer it. You don't get to demand space, then panic when it becomes permanent. You don't get to ignore someone's value, then beg for the same energy you disrespected. Here's your affirmation. Say it, type it, claim it below like you mean it. I am no longer their emotional source. I am my own. This is your power. You don't need to be seen to be whole. You don't need to be missed to matter. You don't need to be relevant to them to be revered by the version of you that finally woke up. Stay with me, because in the next shift, we go deeper into your rebirth. How the pain didn't destroy you, it built something unstoppable. They thought they left you broken, but what they really did was awaken the warrior. Number 8. You transformed the pain into power. They thought the heartbreak would break you, but it built a version of you they'll never get to meet. Let's get one thing straight, my friends. They expected you to crumble. They thought the silence would crush you, that the absence would eat you alive, that you'd fall apart piece by piece, too weak to function, too heartbroken to move. That's how most stories end, right? They leave and you suffer. They ghost and you grieve. They pull away and you chase. That's the script they were counting on, but this time you flipped the page and rewrote the whole book. Because the truth is, the pain didn't destroy you, it refined you. You didn't collapse under it. You grew from it. And while they were out thinking you'd be stuck in the ruins of what they left behind, you were already building something new, something dangerous, something divine, yourself. Let me paint it for you. While they were posting selfies, hoping you'd see them living their best life, you were in the shadows, working, grinding, bleeding in silence, lifting heavier, sleeping less, reading more, healing without witnesses. You turned heartbreak into fuel. You turned silence into structure. You turned rejection into rebirth. And now, they don't recognize you, not because you've changed your clothes, but because you've changed your core. You see, pain is a strange thing. It either poisons you, or it powers you. Most people let it make them bitter. You let it make you bulletproof. They thought your fire came from needing them. But now they're realizing it comes from something they can't touch. Purpose, focus, discipline. You didn't numb the pain with distractions. You faced it. And that's what they never saw coming. Because most people just pretend to move on. You actually did. Now, your glow isn't a performance. It's a product of everything you went through and didn't let break you. Your smile isn't forced. It's earned. You're no longer waking up hoping they remember you. You're waking up knowing you've become unforgettable, not because you begged for attention, but because you built a life too powerful to ignore. And don't get it twisted. They're watching. Quietly. Anxiously. Probably more than you realize. They're scrolling through your growth like it's a show they didn't want to be a side character in. They're studying the new you, wondering when the shift happened. They can't admit it out loud, but deep down, they know. They lost something real while they were busy playing games. Because while they were trying to replace you, you were trying to evolve you. And that, my friends, is the real revenge. Not bitterness, not anger, not proving them wrong. The real revenge is becoming so powerful, so focused, so grounded that even your shadow would turn its back on the man you used to be. You no longer crave closure because you became your own. You no longer seek validation because your discipline now validates your identity. You no longer fantasize about getting them back. You fantasize about getting further ahead. And every step you take in silence echoes louder than any apology they never gave you. Let's break the lie they were living in, that you needed them to be complete. False. You just forgot how whole you already were. You forgot that the storm they caused didn't break your foundation. It just revealed the cracks you needed to seal for yourself. They didn't damage you, they delivered you straight into the arms of your higher self. This is where your story becomes legendary, not because they came back begging, but because you never needed them to. You reclaimed your time, your mind, your purpose. And now every move you make is a statement. Not to them, but to the universe. I'm done playing small for people who couldn't see the magnitude of my worth. So here's your affirmation. Type it below, speak it out loud, claim it like it's already yours. I turned pain into power, and I'm just getting started. Say it with your chest, let the world feel it, because you're not broken, you're built. And this version of you, this is the one that doesn't chase, doesn't doubt, doesn't need to prove anything. Now, if this hit you in the soul, if you feel that fire rising from the ashes of your past, then do this right now. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop your affirmation in the comments so others can see how a real transformation sounds. Because next, we're stepping into the final shift, the one that makes them realize you're not just gone, you've become unreachable, and that is when it finally sinks in. They can't come back.